Is it possible to have a bankruptcy removed permanently off your personal credit reports? Well, the answer is yes, through a very unorthodox, secret way of making that happen. My name is Monica Maid. I'm a serial entrepreneur and real estate investor. And back in 2003, I had to file for personal bankruptcy due to an identity theft situation with my first husband in the late 90s. So I didn't know you can actually file a police report. I didn't know that you could have that stuff removed. In fact, I don't even think identity theft was like a thing back then. So who knows whether or not I did the right or wrong thing. I wish I didn't file for bankruptcy, but guess what? I did. And so I had to deal with a lot of trials and tribulations as far as rebuilding and fixing my personal credit, as well as learning how to raise capital through investor partners. So I guess it was a blessing in disguise because I learned all these different skill sets that I would have never understood or learned had I not filed for bankruptcy. So you might be in a situation right now where you're just like, I don't know what to do. I have a personal bankruptcy. I filed and I had a discharge. Now what? Am I stuck with it for 10 years? Well, it depends. So let's talk about you and what's going on with you specifically. So first of all, in order for this unorthodox plan to work, it's best if it's been discharged. Your bankruptcy has been discharged for at least 2 years. So ask yourself, did you see a judge in a court of law and did they stamp it with a discharge stamp with a date of discharge? So you want to make sure that you dispute this 2 years after the discharge date. So it's been 2 years, you can definitely go forth and dispute the stuff on your personal credit. Now, how do you dispute? Well, I have some resources down below in the box where you can get my free dispute letters that go to the credit bureaus, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Those are your 3 bureaus. And you're going to file a dispute directly with the bureaus. In fact, anytime you're ever trying to dispute something directly about your adverse or negative things on your personal credit, you'll always start with disputing with the 3 credit bureaus first, which are, again, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. So what you're going to do is make sure that the discharge date has been more than 2 years, because a lot of things can happen between now and 2 years ago. So back in my day in 2003, my 2-year discharge date would have been 2005-ish. Unfortunately, people were a lot more organized back then. They didn't use as much software as they do today. And they used to take things from the courthouse and put it directly onto what they call microfiche. So it went out of the courtroom building and onto microfiche by some third-party data, whatever company, and it was never in the courthouse after that 2-year time frame. Now, every courthouse across the country is going to be different, so I can't cite what's going on in your courthouse. You might be in some 2-horse town where they keep everything in the courthouse for, now until the end of time, but then you might be in a really busy courthouse where they get rid of stuff like that. So it just depends on your courthouse. So don't be writing in the comments, well, Monica, my courthouse keeps stuff for 5 years. I don't know. Every courthouse is different. But it should not stop you from trying at least to dispute it. So let's talk about how this works. So the actual court documentation is likely going to be gone out of that courthouse after 2 years and onto some third party, whether it's some kind of data company, software company, etc. Now, here's the cool thing about today's day and age is that there's so many data breaches and so many different software hackers that are out there that a lot of these things, these platforms out there have maybe in many cases been hacked, or a lot of your information just simply doesn't exist anymore. Even better, I hate to wish this on any courthouse anywhere, but say, for example, your courthouse burned down to the ground 6 months ago. Then your stuff's gone, in which case you could dispute it today if you wanted to, because your stuff is completely gone and not in existence anymore. So what essentially happens then is you file a dispute with the credit reporting bureaus saying that this bankruptcy information on the credit report is inaccurate and needs to be investigated as per federal law. So that's what the dispute letters will say. And again, all of that stuff is in the resource box down below. You can get my free dispute letters if you'd like. And you send this dispute letter to Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. You use USPS priority trackable mail. So if you send it by the $8, thingy-majig, it's like a cardboard envelope, and you send it USPS priority trackable. You want everything that you're doing to be trackable mail. And yeah, it costs $8. So what? It's going to increase your FICO score by hundreds of points if you get this sucker removed, right? And that's going to make you credit worthy, and you'll be able to afford pretty much anything you want. So that's what we want that to fall off. So again, you're not admitting to the fact that it's yours. You're not saying it's not yours. You're just basically saying it's inaccurate, it's not reported correctly, and it needs to be investigated immediately as per federal law. And again, all of those resources are in the description box below, including all the legalese that has to be used in these letters to let them know that you are serious and you know your stuff, right? and then you wait 30 days to see if it falls off or not. You have a 50-50 shot. In fact, you have a better shot than what I had back in 2005 when my two-year discharge date came up, because back then they used microfiche. People were a lot more, I guess you could say, organized, and they had a little bit more work ethic. In today's day and age, you might very well end up with a court clerk who hates her job and gets the letters and throws them away. And if that happens, where the credit reporting bureaus do not hear back from the courthouse at all about your bankruptcy, guess what happens? It has to fall off your credit as if it never, ever happened. How fantastic and amazing would that be? And in today's day and age, especially post-pandemic, people are just lazier than ever. People are more overworked than ever because the people that are actually working, they're doing all the people's lazy ass jobs. So you have the lazy asses that are basically holding up the water cooler, and you have the other people that are picking up everybody else's jobs and are overwhelmed. So you can end up with one of these two people as your clerk looking at the letter from the credit reporting bureaus requesting additional information about your bankruptcy. So they might very well trash it, or it ends up getting lost on somebody's desk. And that's what you're banking on, because if they do not respond back to the 3 credit reporting bureaus within 30 days as per federal law, it has to fall completely off your credit as if it never existed. Like, how powerful and amazing would that be? But the only way you're going to know if this works is if you try it, right? You want to make sure that you send those, those dispute letters in. By the way, you never want to do online disputes. They never work. And the responses happen just like that as far as the investigation. So what you want to make sure that you do is everything has to be by way of physical mail, so that a human being is part of the process, which is where most of the balls are being dropped, is when there's a human being that's part of the process. And that's the point, right? We want a human being to be part of the process. So they do drop the balls. So then all the stuff starts to fall off your credit as if it never happened. And that's really the beauty of using the human element, because we are so fallible, if you will. So that's the way you want to do it. If you want to dispute your bankruptcy, it's 50-50. It may fall off. It may not fall off. I would wait after the 2-year discharge date before I even think about disputing it. For me personally, it did not fall off when I tried it. But again, back in 2005, my 2-year discharge date, people were a little bit more organized, and they were really on it. Like, people weren't as lazy as they are now. So you might have a really good shot at it. But I did have a $2 million judgment removed off my personal credit. So, I'll take that any day, right? I mean, you win some, you lose some. So the only way you're going to know whether this works or not is if you try it, right? So again, wait the 2 years. Again, go to the description box down below to get my dispute letters. And again, use USPS priority trackable mail when you're sending these disputes directly to Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Wait your 30 days and see what happens, right? You never know. So if you like this content, click the thumbs up, as well as subscribe to my channel. It helps me out a lot. I have a lot more videos like this to come. This is Monica Main signing off, and I will see you in the next video.